Well, it's a good time to bring out your trumpet this morning and begin to blast everywhere because Nigerian is 64. It's a good time to celebrate, don't you think so? Well, in the spirit of celebration across the country, we have been joined this morning by Mr. Osita Okechukwu, who is the former DG of Voice of Nigerian. He's a founding member of the All Progressive Congress, and he'll be talking to us about the Independence Day celebration across Nigeria. You're welcome to Signature Morning today, sir.
Thanks a million. Good morning.
All right, so let's even delve into the conversation. But first, I want you to give us an overview of where we are and where we were and where we are right now. Do you think that as a nation we've made significant progress?
Yes. I accept the fact that there's economic hardship in the country today. There's poverty and there's deprivation. But I was 5 years old at independence. And during that independence, if I do an introspection where Nigeria were and where we are today, I would say, if I go by my favorite hymn in the Christian hymn book, I would say we should count our blessings and name them one by one, and thank Almighty God that in spite of this deprivation, in spite of the hunger in the land, in spite of the crippling poverty, that we should thank Almighty God. One, we remain a united country. Secondly, we had progressed demographically, that we are among the 10 most populous countries of the world. And within that 10 most populous countries of the world, we belong to the only 3 that had a demographic youth advantage of between 60–70% of the population. Yes, we have a lot of work to do along that line. If you count as well the number of primary schools today, the number of secondary schools, the number of tertiary institutions, universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, the nursery schools, and others. We thank our God for that. With more roads, more bridges, we've also advanced from narrow gauge rail line to standard gauge rail line, and we're moving forward. So we cannot just throw them away to the dustbin because of the position today. Yes, there's a hardship, but this hardship will soon come and go. And the history of the world has been ups and downs. You do not lose hope because you are in a very difficult situation. The Almighty God is there, watching all of us. One day, our leadership will have a change of mind and commit what I call class suicide. It was a maxim that was advocated by Amilcar Cabral. Amilcar Cabral says the leadership had to sacrifice, and not just by talking, but seriously sacrifice, to return happiness to the people. I think one day that will be done, because we adopted an economic policy that's not essentially bad. Back in '86, about 38 years ago, it's called Structural Adjustment Program. It says government had no business in business. Yes, it had worked in advanced economies of the world, and I believe nothing prevents it from happening in Nigeria. The only thing preventing it is that we have placed self-interest above public good. The day we place public good above self-good, we arrive where we're going, and it will happen soon. We're at that threshold.
Mr. Osita, thank you for that feedback. But then, you are a founding member of the All Progressive Congress. Looking at what the All Progressive Congress have always stood for, has always been to fight corruption. But let's bring this question back to you. Do you think that in your assessment so far, have we done magnificently great in the fight against corruption, even as a nation?
Yes, we have achieved some, but we lost many. We lost many in the sense that, as I said earlier, when we returned to the Fourth Republic, a lot of people thought that we were going to be pro-people. We continued the same neoliberal policy of enhancing the rich. If you enhance the rich through competition, you don't have any problem. But we're enhancing the rich through a system that is not very transparent. Because immediately you accept that you have to privatize the electric chain, then NEPA. There were palpable reasons that those who were working there were corrupted. Therefore, the government should not continue sinking funds. But in privatizing it, the then government was not transparent in the privatization process. Therefore, it failed. So, with other state-owned enterprises. When we came as APC, we started battling to recover it. But you still have, remember that, like we were then of view that the then President Buhari would do it. But Buhari did not have the powers he had as a military head of state. Because we are now in democracy where there is rule of law and checks and balances, where you cannot just sit down somewhere and do it the way you could have done as a military head of state. So that was the handicap. So we're still battling that handicap, and the team will go over it. If you check something like the local government autonomy, for instance, in the 25 years of our return to democracy, at each session of the National Assembly, it was top on the agenda. It was top in the first session of the National Assembly. Second, it was top. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, to this ninth. The Senate just ended the Senate Committee on the Alteration of the Constitutional Amendment. They ended a small public hearing in Kano. Agenda of the local autonomy was agreed by all. But the point is that if the National Assembly each time agrees and it gets to the states, the governors will use their influence on the state legislatures to cancel it. I hope they do not cancel this one. But if they cancel it, we'll return to square one, where the money voted for the local councils will end up in the hands of the governors, who are acting more or less like emperors. And in doing this, the governors did not demarcate between APC, PDP. Back in 1999, they didn't demarcate between AD, the then defunct AD, the defunct APP and PDP. No, they all agreed. That's the danger about it. But we'll come out of that, because I believe sincerely that the leadership will understand that for us to harvest the enormous material and human resources of the country, we must adopt Amilcar Cabral's ageless maxim. We must commit class suicide. Because if you go through the scriptures, if you do not recognize that if there's a talented man who will do this job for you, and you neglect him and look for your cronies or your friends or your in-laws, you've neglected God, not that person. And that job will not be done the way you wanted it to be done. And you remain where you are. So I think we'll come out of a lot of countries of the world migrated out of that place. When do you hear about the word thugs? Thug is not an outside word. It's not an Igbo word. It's not a Yoruba word. It was an English word, which means they were thugs then. But somehow, they graduated out of it and started placing the best on top of the table. Don't care who is the best or where it's coming from. Osito Ikechukwu becomes a president. And I know they gave me a lot of files on who will be the best to manage the finance ministry. And in advisory, you see the note, they say, this Hausa Fulani man is the best for this job. And some people, Ohaneze and others, will come around and tell you, say, why? That was not the issue. We should take the best. We're going to stop it. And immediately we stopped, we'll return back to life. So it's not as bad as people think. We still have enormous gas reserves. We have enormous oil reserves. We have enormous solid minerals. And the APC government so far had found those nexus. The only thing lacking is the leadership able to place public good above personal good. That's the demarcation. Whether you go regional, some people have said that we must go region. It's not region that is the problem. We are talking that the little fund given to local council of various 774 local government, that at each election, each governor will make sure he wins all. So it's not about region. It's about the leadership being in a position to place public interest above his. Because you must always have classmates who will be alive when you get to power to crowd you. You can't say you don't know them. But if you don't have the political will to tell them, hey, Jeremy, that's not going to be we have changed the template. The chapter is now a new chapter for the best. The ways electoral reform panel, when the late Sharia of blessed memory came innocently and said, for instance, publicly, that the election that brought me to power is flawed election. I didn't win. But since I've been sworn in, what I've promised the Nigerian people is to change the table. That the election now had to be transparent. There were many ingredients, but one of the foremost ingredients in the panel he set up was the proviso that the electoral officers, especially the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, the National Electoral Commissioner, the resident electoral commissioners, had to be bidded for. If nothing else, somebody wants to be chairman of INEC and is advertised, and there are 130 people that entered for the race. You give room for petitions. You know Nigerians were good petitioners. They will tell you, look at that Osito Okechi, he's a thief. He can't be chairman because he won't do free and fair election. And they will give evidence. So if you go through the 130 that applied, and you also placing public interest above your own, and you choose the best in that list, the man comes as chairman of INEC. He knows that if a male incumbent did not win the election, I will fail. But when you said no, that you had to also put your hand in your magic bag and select names. So how will you have free and fair election? It becomes impossible.
That's quite amazing. I'm tempted to call Chief.
I'm not a chief. I didn't have money to become a chief. Please. Give me the one God gave me.
All right,
I told you about counting your blessings.
Okay, let's go with the Mr. Osita Okechukwu.
Mr. Osita Okechukwu. Please.
All right, but then looking at this whole issues of Nigerian and its celebration today, one thing stands out, and that is the fact that the president has always been at the forefront of innovation, especially technology-based, using the CNG and other form of innovation within the technology space. But then again, a lot of Nigerian youths are still agitating that they are being neglected by the president's policies that has to cater for the youth. Do you think that this is a way to go for us, even as we celebrate today as an Independence Day? Should we be telling the youth to shield their sword and probably coming to the round table and discussing with the government and bringing out something? I don't know. But what do you think on this?
I believe sincerely that there are no policy that is wrong per se. The present policies are excellent. The tonic is what I'm telling you, what is left. Had Mr. President leading the country make the leadership to commit class suicide? Has he? That's the Buhari could not do so. We thought he would do so. He didn't do so. Even Obasanjo that tried his best did not do so. Unless you do so, it's difficult. The policies are good, very handsome. Let's take, for instance, for some of us, when we had 8 months of ASU strike, I had one opportunity to talk with the then President Buhari. I said, sir, you are what the Hausa people call Memutani, the people's man. This university that is close is the Mutani zone. Your kid and the kid of the big ones, most of them are abroad. The rest are in private universities. I brought the fees for the private university. I said, sir, look at the fees. So, sister, where were you? That's a fact. I said, sir, some of us could have been in the university, if not for the welfare that the state provided us. My father was a bicycle repairer. How could I have offended to get out of 4 years? I said, sir, don't come to that. Now, if I have a meeting with President Tinubu, I will tell him, are you raising school fees in that Mutani school? How would they cope? Otherwise, sir, bring that money you meant for the loan and invest it there. And watch those who are going to spend it. If any of them step on his toes, you are the president. What are you afraid to step on somebody's toe? They haven't enough for. China, we're now begging. What helped China is that any corrupt person is killed. So when you know you will die, my brother, nobody wants to commit suicide. This China, we are begging. They were in this state where we were until a few years ago. But today in China, if you are culpable, you are killed. It's a question of going to Kuje and they say you go to Kuje, your wife visits you, your friends visit you. Visit you where? When they don't see you again, will they visit you? I think that's the edge we need to save our dear country. I keep on telling them, there was depression throughout history. It's not new. The latest was in Europe and America in the 20s, 29. What did they do? There were two major leaders then, Joseph Stalin and Franklin Roosevelt. They took their different paths. And today the result is clear. Welfare of the people. That's what Roosevelt did. That's why America is still very high. Because everybody there can find on his own news. Yes, there's also some nepotism there. It's a human factor, but it's limited more than it used to be before. We need to limit crass capitalism.
So are we saying that the youth are justified to even agitate and confront the government and so on?
I am not sure, because I participated quietly in the 3 months election in this city. I'm here for 30-something years. Deliberately, when I hear there will be another election, I will go. I wear my t-shirt, I will be there. They are corrupted. They have not even involved an attitude of class suicide themselves. So they should push. When we had a labor issue, I held a meeting in Secretary Government Office. I had with labor. I told labor, don't talk of 615,000 or 200, and it doesn't take you anywhere. Let's put housing as your demand. I've gone through your bouquet of demands. You didn't put housing. That over 90% of you don't have personal house. So why is it not there? Then I will say that no, the government can do whatever they want. We need this, we need that. I say, how? So the youths should try to recalibrate and know where the leakage is coming from. What's the problem? Don't Asiwaju. Have you seen them argue? Asiwaju, please, those billions for student loan, distribute it to the universities. Upgrade even the classroom or hostels. I used to sleep in a bed that is always the best spread is changed for me and washed. So which means my business was to go to class and go to library. There was a time when it was a holiday time in the university, and they wrote in the notice board that if you have any reason to stay back in the campus, please let the authorities know. I quickly applied. So the dean of the student affairs had to go through those who actually want why. And I was in year 2 political science. So I got to my turn, the man said, which project? You wrote here that you are doing project. Which project in political science? I said, sir, you know, this and that. He said, no, I passed through that department. So don't tell me crap. Better go home. I said, no, sir. To be honest with you, sir, this place is more comfortable than my home. I will still be reading instead of going there. So you can't go and see your parents. I said, I can go a weekend and come back. It's about 70 kilos away. He said, now you are talking the truth. Otherwise, if you are telling me about project, you won't go. What is taking me back? Good feeding. The feeding there was better than the one I had in my home. So if you have your ticket, you can, even one plate can go 2 times. And if you have good friendship with those who manage the refectorials, you're going to come sometimes when you don't have money. They say you don't come again and you have no money, I want to eat. Please, please, I don't have. They allow you. So it made us to have our own internalized thoughts that the Nigerian state, that whatever is Tokichukwu becomes today is the Nigerian state that made me. I went to secondary school, it was also good. I went to teachers training college in what they call a crash program. I've been paid 8 naira every month. Free food, free beddings. The same state. Are we saying now that Nigeria got so poor?
Maybe we'll target to overpopulation, if you like to use that word, that we can no longer cater for even the young people. But then again, there is this conversation around the Nigerian economy. Basically, the Nigerians are more impoverished. But looking at today being the 64th Nigerian independence, one begin to ask, where do we go from here? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel for Nigerians?
Right.
Or should we should fall back to our religious obligations?
The way the Ashwaju is going can transform the country. Forget about whether you're APC or you're not. Ashwaju, the line is going can transform the country. The only thing Ashwaju just need is that tonic to step on toes. Break the ceiling. Get some people who are blocking him injured for the sake of the Nigerian people. That's all that Ashwaju requires now. You have to commit class suicide.
So if this society is not...
We're entering in the... After the victory in 2003, we had a mass service at National Christian Center. Luckily, the organizers called the wife to the podium. Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu told us that we should thank God for them, that we're coming here to serve, that the family going by any account is also good in terms of wealth. And I was happy, I slept very well that night. I pray that Mr. President should ask the wife the intuition that gave life to that statement. Thank you.
well, at this point, I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning, Mr. Osita Okechukwu. Of course, we want to appreciate you for your time, and hope when next we need you around in the studio, you'll be available for us. But what viewers, is how far we could go this morning on Signature TV. Till I come your way again, I am Godwin Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day.